What if your family woke up one morning with real superpowers? Imagine being able to fly, turn invisible, teleport, or even talk to animals, but only if you were all together. That's exactly what happens in this story, and it leads to one of the craziest family adventures ever. It all started on a gloomy evening along Russia's shoreline where Oleg assists a band of criminals in pilfering 1,000 kilograms of caviar using a compact vessel. The boatman he's employed objects to this scheme, pointing out his craft can merely handle 600 kilos, and remains unconvinced despite Oleg proposing additional payment. This fails to deter Oleg from his goal. He fakes contacting his spouse but genuinely speaks with the criminal and instructs him to claim the shipment weighs 600 kilos so the boatman will accept it. The deception succeeds, and Oleg manages to load his 1,000 kilograms of caviar onto the vessel, but their journey ends quickly. The craft and its contents gradually submerge, forcing the men to swim toward land. When the boatman insists on compensation for his damaged vessel, Oleg surrenders his contemporary automobile, leaving himself with the boatman's deteriorating old car and owing $1 million to the criminals. The following morning, Oleg visits his partner Sveta at her workplace bank to request financing, but she cannot provide it since he hasn't completed paying his existing loan. Eager to assist, Sveta proposes an alternative approach. They could seek assistance from her relatives since they possess property. Oleg dislikes this notion as he cannot tolerate Sveta's relatives and would prefer avoiding them entirely, but he lacks alternatives. They travel to her residence where the entire household resides collectively. There's Sveta's papa, Boris, who enjoys performing peculiar melodies and hasn't departed the residence in 5 years because authorities seek him. Her mother's father Pavel, who desires death already. Her sibling Rita, employed as a bookkeeper at the playhouse but dreams of becoming a performer. Her brother Talik, who aspires to enlist in the military but cannot due to his respiratory condition and enjoys training. Canines, and her younger sister Sasha, a youth who constantly fantasizes about maturity and harbors affection for Sveta's partner. Oleg attempts discussing his financial predicament with Boris, requiring him to wait until he completes his singing. When Boris eventually listens to his proposal, he becomes distressed, believing selling the residence resembles selling his relatives into servitude. Oleg attempts clarifying that nobody will forfeit anything, he merely requires a guarantor's document, but it proves futile. Boris's response remains negative. Abruptly, their dispute gets interrupted when a space rock penetrates the ceiling and crashes into the residence's center, striking Pavel. Initially, the household evacuates outside, believing they're experiencing an assault, but upon witnessing a meteor bombardment in the atmosphere, they comprehend the situation and return inside to examine their grandfather. After moving him to his sleeping quarters, Oleg and the siblings commence excavating to extract the space rock for sale, but individually, the siblings retire to sleep and abandon Oleg excavating alone. He doesn't complete until dawn, and upon emerging from the excavation, he discovers Pavel summoning him from his bed to announce his approaching death. Oleg desires to contact emergency services, but Pavel prohibits it. He's existed sufficiently long and desires departing this existence peacefully. Before expiring, he gives Oleg one final communication to relay to his relatives. They can all be damned. After verifying Pavel's pulse to confirm it's genuine, Oleg hurries to Sveta to deliver the information, but she's profoundly asleep and won't respond. Oleg eventually sleeps beside her, and when Talik arrives later to demonstrate something, Sveta has vanished. Oleg accompanies Talik to the common area and discovers the space rock has converted into peculiar fluid. Sasha has acquired superhuman power and Rita can levitate. Sveta emerges momentarily afterward, manifesting with portions of her physique transparent, and Pavel unexpectedly joins them as well, living and healthy. But when Rita cannot regulate her recent capability and soars away through the ceiling opening, she rapidly descends to the surface, and Pavel expires again as Sveta becomes completely visible. After assisting Rita back inside and securing her so she cannot drift away again, causing Pavel to revive, they determine the space rock has granted them extraordinary capabilities. Sveta believes they should contact officials, and immediately upon departing the area, Pavel dies again and Rita ceases floating. Apparently these extraordinary capabilities only function if they're all gathered. They visit a physician to inquire about it, but the physician states they're healthy and nothing is abnormal with their physiques. This interrupting phenomenon they experience when separated must simply constitute part of how their capabilities operate. Later during supper, they debate what they should accomplish with these capabilities. Rita desires to perform, but Pavel believes people will conduct experiments on them if they discovered. While Talik nourishes his canines and realizes he can comprehend them now, Oleg tells Boris that the household should manifest on television and receive payment for it, but Boris declines to have his relatives exploited like that. When they retire, Oleg asks Sveta about the funds they maintain in the financial institution while she ponders if she'll have transparent offspring. The following morning, Pavel attempts hanging himself, but it's useless. Provided he remains around his relatives, he'll stay alive. Boris discovers his capability is teleportation when he visits the lavatory and exerts himself excessively to relieve himself, and decides the household requires a brief holiday to manage this. The group travels to a lake for fishing, and while Boris learns controlling his capability, Oleg tells everyone about the scheme he's devised. They should collaborate to steal from a financial institution. With Sveta being transparent, she merely needs to enter then exit with the bag of funds while everyone sits in the automobile nearby so she doesn't forfeit her capability. Rita, Talik, and Sasha agree, but Boris continues rejecting the notion, even stating he doesn't care if Oleg departs and they cannot utilize their capabilities anymore. Enraged, Oleg gets in the automobile and Sveta accompanies him after telling his relatives to place Pavel's corpse in the cellar until they return. On the highway, Oleg attempts convincing Sveta his scheme is beneficial, but they're abruptly forced to stop by another automobile. It's the criminals who demand their funds. Oleg tells them he could have it in 30 days, but they cannot accept that. He'll compensate them in 7 days or they will auction his organs in the Chinese illegal marketplace. After the criminals depart, Sveta finally comprehends that Oleg's debt isn't merely about the funds, it endangers his existence too, so she agrees to assist him. The subsequent day, the couple takes Boris to observe a magnificent new residence that they could purchase if they execute the scheme. Boris doesn't believe he requires a new residence, but Sveta finally advocates for herself and tells him the household is weary of the old deteriorating residence and they will relocate anywhere with an operational toilet. Boris still declines, but when Sveta begins weeping and emphasizes she's requesting his assistance for the initial time in her existence yet he won't listen to his daughter, Boris finally relents and agrees to steal from the financial institution. After discussing the particulars of how they'll accomplish it, the household celebrates the new existence they'll have, and Sasha keeps interrupting Oleg and Sveta when they attempt having some private moments together. The following morning she even applies some cosmetics to impress him. Oleg is surprised when abruptly all the household members commence establishing conditions if he desires them to collaborate. Pavel desires to be cremated after the theft concludes, Rita desires to levitate before an audience and Sasha desires to have a date with him. Oleg believes they're requesting excessively and declines to collaborate, but Boris reprimands him and tells him that if he desires to be part of the household, then he'll assist them in return or the arrangement is terminated. So Oleg has no alternative but to satisfy everyone's desires. After visiting the playhouse Rita is employed at and scheduling her performance, Oleg finally discovers what his capability is while in bed with Sveta. He can discharge water from his finger, which Sveta emphasizes is beneficial for irrigating the vegetation. The subsequent morning, Sasha joins the couple when they go examine the financial institution that will be their target. It's not the one she's employed at, so they can prevent suspicion. While they discuss the particulars, Sasha inquires what would occur if Sveta was captured and sent to prison, pondering who would care for Oleg. Entertained, Sveta participates and tells her she can accomplish it. When they return home, they discover Talik has removed his hair because he's finally been accepted in the military, which signifies he won't be available to steal from the financial institution. Boris is melancholy that he'll be losing his son, but Oleg cannot stop contemplating the scheme, so he utilizes connections among his associates and gets the military to speak to Talik and inform him it was all an error. Talik is obviously enraged and distressed about this development, but Boris doesn't conceal how satisfied he is that the military has, according to him, recognized their mistake. Oleg comforts Talik, telling him that after they steal from the financial institution he can speak to some individuals he knows and secure it for him, gaining Talik's confidence as he embraces him. Subsequently, they visit a burial establishment to arrange Pavel's cremation. The worker provides them a document that Pavel can attach to his chest so when the authorities discover him deceased, they'll know to transport him there. Afterward, Oleg takes Sasha out for a meal at an elegant restaurant while the household observes them from afar and Sveta transparently sits beside them to monitor her sister. Sasha desires Oleg to take her with him after the theft because she cannot tolerate her relatives anymore, but before Oleg can reject her, they're interrupted by the criminals, who are also dining there. They approach to interrogate Oleg, and when Sasha notices they're villains, she rises and doesn't hesitate to assault them. The entire household commences fleeing to prevent trouble, causing Sasha to forfeit her superhuman power and finally leave the criminals behind as well. Later, the household spends the evening listening to Talik's canines sing the national hymn. The subsequent day, it's finally time to execute the scheme. Oleg parks the automobile across the street under the sun, because the shadowed passage Boris indicates has a no parking sign. Since she can only render her physique transparent but not her garments, Sveta removes them before entering the financial institution, transparent and unclothed, together with Oleg. She accompanies the workers around to learn all the passwords and vault codes while Oleg takes a photograph of the floor diagram in case they need to escape. Meanwhile, Boris is exhausted of the sun and decides to relocate the automobile to the small passage to get fresher air. This proves to be problematic. That location is only for the financial institution's armored vehicle to park at, and when one of them arrives, they request the household to relocate. Boris declines because it would cause Sveta to become visible, so seeing they have no other alternative, the guards utilize their own vehicle to push the automobile away. As Sveta manifests before a worker and a customer that can't believe what they're witnessing, the household calls Oleg, who hurries outside and assists them drag Pavel's corpse to the front of the financial institution so they can all be nearer to Sveta again. She instantly recovers her capabilities and disappears, so the two men that observed her believe they were hallucinating. The household prepares to depart but is stopped by the authorities, who only desire to examine them. Boris, however, believes he's a wanted individual and teleports away, manifesting inside the officer's vehicle without intending to and getting arrested for it. Hours later, Oleg gets him released after forfeiting another automobile as payment, and when they arrive home he tells the household that Boris isn't wanted after all and it had all been his imagination. Enraged, he yells at everyone for misbehaving and makes them promise there won't be any more disputes or misuse of their capabilities. The subsequent day though, they still have to take Rita to the playhouse, since it was part of the arrangement. When it's her turn to perform, she observes there's a large crowd, including individuals she knows, and gets performance anxiety. Rita levitates out of the playhouse, not desiring to perform anymore, and when Oleg pursues her, he's discovered by the criminals, who take him to the stage and assault him as they beat him up, making him the new performance of the day. When they're finally finished and release him, Oleg is so enraged and injured that he insults the entire household for the failures they keep encountering, calling them indolent, egotistical fools, capable of utilizing the finest technology in the world to just scratch their posteriors. Oleg attempts to abandon them, not desiring anything else to accomplish with them, but Boris gets a notion and decides to abduct him. When evening falls, the household returns to the financial institution, prepared to execute the theft. While Pavel distracts some intoxicated men that are lingering nearby by consuming fuel and igniting his breath on fire, the remainder of the household covers their faces and prepares to strike. Sasha pushes a vehicle in front of the street they are at to conceal what they're accomplishing. Then she pulls a chain Rita has placed on the window, opening a hole in the barrier. Boris teleports inside and Sasha throws Sveta into the hole before Rita picks her up and levitates her there with the others. Then, Sveta utilizes the code she learned to disable the alarm and Sasha simply picks up the vault and throws it out on the street. As the household commences taking the funds out and throwing it in the automobile, the authorities arrive, but Talik keeps them distracted by sending the canines after them. Once they have all the funds they could take, they escape after picking up Pavel, who leaves a fire behind him as he flees. The sun has risen by the time they make far away from the financial institution to stop and celebrate. Pavel utilizes that moment to remind them of the final part of the arrangement and requests them to leave him behind so he can finally die. After everyone states their farewells to him, the household drives away, but they get distressed when they observe Pavel's corpse fall deceased and return to assist him. Pavel doesn't accept this and yells at them, reminding them this is what he desires. Boris interrupts, stating they should exist together as a joyful household, but Oleg reminds him they cannot stay because the scheme they executed wasn't as smooth as the original and the authorities will discover them sooner or later. Besides, he and Sveta have already planned to travel to Thailand, Talik will be departing for Moscow, and Sasha and Rita desire to visit Brazil. The girls desire Boris to accompany them, but he doesn't have time to respond because Pavel tells them he's contacted the authorities so they can discover his soon-to-be-deceased corpse, so the household departs for good this time. Observing her grandfather die genuinely distresses Sveta, who declines to grab the funds when Oleg commences dividing it some hours later, stating they should return it. Oleg declines, so Sveta expels him from the automobile, stating she doesn't desire to be with him anymore. Seeing as the household hasn't transformed after all, Oleg departs and manages his business. He compensates the criminals what he owed them, then conceals the remainder of the funds by taping it to his physique under his garments. When he visits the airport, prepared to depart the country, he observes on the news that the household has been arrested for attempting to recover Pavel's corpse from the burial establishment. Initially, he attempts his best to ignore it, but once he boards the aircraft, he cannot manage the guilt anymore and returns to town to assist them. His first stop is the burial establishment, where he attempts to bribe the worker to return the corpse back. Seeing as there are so many individuals desperate to have Pavel, the individual requests 1 million and doesn't accept any other of the lower amounts Oleg attempts to negotiate with. Since he has no other alternative, Oleg pays all the funds he has remaining and takes Pavel with him to the courthouse where the household is being put on trial. As soon as they enter inside, everyone recovers their capabilities and chaos ensues. Boris teleports out of the enclosure, and while he and Pavel commence assaulting individuals, Sasha breaks the enclosure to release her siblings. Together they knock out various officers while the remainder of the individuals flee away, and now they're all reunited. Boris accepts that this kind of chaotic scheme officially makes Oleg part of the household. Waiting outside for them, there's a group of armed officers, who Rita distracts by levitating above them, pretending to be a religious manifestation. This provides them sufficient time to steal an automobile and drive away, but the authorities soon recover and commence chasing them through the city. Boris teleports inside of one of the authority automobiles to make them drive away. Sasha pushes others with her superhuman power, and when they accidentally drive through a vegetable stand and the mirror gets dirty, Oleg cleans it with the water he discharges from his finger. Sasha utilizes her power again to assist the automobile make a sudden turn, causing all the authority vehicles to crash against each other except for one. They manage to finally lose it when Rita rises and pushes up the automobile as she levitates up, making the automobile drift away with her. Sometime later, the household meets with the criminals and compensates them to conceal them in one of their containers so they can escape to Thailand undetected. Now they have 20 days ahead where their only company will be each other. And that's where the story ends. A chaotic, funny, and unexpectedly heartwarming adventure about unity, family bonds, and learning to appreciate each other even when everything feels impossible. It reminds us that true strength isn't about what you can do alone, it's about what you can achieve when you stand together. I give Super Family 2016 a 7.5 out of 10, a fun, entertaining ride with a meaningful message beneath the comedy. If you enjoyed this recap, hit like and subscribe and check out the next video on your screen, another powerful story that'll keep you hooked till the end.